You make the plans, you work hard, you do everything you can to make things work out, but then something happens that you never expected, and suddenly you realize that you were never in control of the outcome. That is where tawakkul comes in. You take the means, but you leave the outcome to Allah. There is a question hidden behind almost everything we do. What am I really relying on? We work for provision, we build relationships for support, we make plans for security, we seek knowledge for competence. We prepare because we want to be ready for what comes next. None of this is wrong. The question is not whether you use these things. The question is, where does your heart place its reliance? This is where tawakkul begins. The Arabic word tawakkul comes from the root wakala, which carries the meaning of entrusting an affair to someone and relying upon them to take care of that matter. A wakil is one to whom an affair is entrusted. So when you say, I have tawakkul in Allah, you are not merely saying Allah is capable, you are saying, I have entrusted my affair to Allah and I rely upon Him to take care of that matter that I cannot control. Tawakkul therefore contains two things: recognizing your own inability and relying upon the one who has no inability. You can act, but you cannot guarantee the outcome. You can plan, but you cannot control the future. You can take the cause, but you cannot create its effect. Tawakkul begins when the heart recognizes this boundary. You do what belongs to you, and you entrust what doesn't belong to you to the one whom it belongs. Tawakkul is not simply an emotion, it's knowledge and action of the heart. The first part is knowledge. You must know the one upon whom you rely. You know that Allah is the owner of the affair, and you know that He knows what you do not know, sees what you cannot see, and He has power over what you cannot control. You know that His wisdom encompasses your affairs, even when His wisdom is hidden from you. This knowledge produces certainty, and certainty changes the heart. You no longer merely believe that Allah is capable of taking care of your affair. You become tranquil because you know who Allah is. This is why tawakkul is not blind optimism. Optimism says perhaps things will work out. Tawakkul says, I trust Allah with whatever happens. And this is why the path of tawakkul begins with knowledge of Allah. The more you know Him, the more you understand why you can entrust your affairs with Him. Your knowledge alone is not enough. The heart has to act upon what it knows. It has to rely. It has to trust. It has to become tranquil, and eventually it has to surrender. This is where tawakkul is often misunderstood. If Allah is sufficient, why should I take the means? Why work? Why plan? Why do anything? Because tawakkul doesn't mean abandoning the means. Allah created the world through causes and effects. The Prophet ﷺ gave a beautiful image. If you were to rely upon Allah with true reliance, He would provide for you as He provides for the birds. They go out hungry and they return full. The bird goes out, it searches, it moves, it takes the means, but it doesn't possess its provision, and neither do we. The believer takes the means because Allah has commanded him to act within the world He created. But he doesn't make the means the object of his reliance. This is one of the most important distinctions in tawakkul. Your hands take the means, your heart relies upon Allah. You work, but you don't believe that your work independently creates your provision. You seek treatment, but you do not believe the treatment independently creates healing. You prepare, but you do not believe the preparation guarantees the future. The cause is only a cause. It doesn't own its effect. Allah does. And this is why there are two opposite mistakes: abandoning the means in the name of tawakkul and depending upon the means instead of God. The first is helplessness disguised as trust. The second is dependence disguised as rationality. Tawakkul is neither. It's to take the means while knowing that the outcome belongs to Allah. Once you understand the difference between using the means and relying upon it, you reach a deeper level of tawakkul. Where does the heart turn? You may use people without depending upon them. You may use money without depending upon it. You may have a career without believing that it guarantees your future. The problem is not the existence of the means. The problem is when the heart begins to see the means as a source of security. Allah says in the Quran, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And upon Allah, let the believers rely. And He also says, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَتَوَكَّلُوا إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنُونَ. And upon Allah rely if you are believers. Notice where the Quran directs the heart, upon Allah. The human heart will always depend upon something. If it doesn't depend upon Allah, it would search for another source of security. A person, a position, money, status, a particular outcome. And this is why Tawakkul is deeply connected to Tawheed. Tawheed changes not only what you believe about Allah, it changes where your heart stands. The means remain in your hands, but they do not become the foundation of your heart. One of the companions once said, "Let no servant hope except his Lord, and let him fear nothing except his sin." It doesn't mean that you never seek help from people or fear danger. It means the ultimate hope, the ultimate fear belongs to Allah. People can be means, but they cannot be the ultimate refuge. It doesn't mean that you never seek help from people or fear danger. It means that ultimate hope and ultimate fear belongs to Allah. People can be means, but they cannot be your ultimate refuge. Once the heart knows Allah, takes the means, and stops treating creation as independently powerful, something deeper begins to develop. Trust. You begin to become comfortable with Allah's management of your affair. Not because you know what He will do, but because you know who is doing it. This is where good expectations of Allah become essential. You may ask Allah for something specific. You may hope for a particular outcome. You may work toward it with everything you have. But tawakkul means that your trust is ultimately in Allah, not in the outcome you imagined. There is a difference between saying, "I trust Allah, therefore He will give me what I want," and saying, "I trust Allah with what I want." The first can quietly turn Allah into a means toward your desired outcome. The second is tawakkul. You ask, you hope, you strive, but you leave the final judgment to the one who knows what you do not know. That is why good expectation of Allah is not entitlement. It's trust in His wisdom. You believe that His choice is wiser than yours, even when your heart initially prefers something else. Tawakkul doesn't end with trust. The heart must eventually reach surrender. Allah says in the Quran, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Then when you have resolved, rely upon Allah. Notice the sequence. You resolve, then you rely on Allah. Tawakkul doesn't remove responsibility. You think, prepare, decide, you act, then you surrender the outcome. This is why the Prophet ﷺ said, "Be eager for what benefits you. Seek help from Allah, and do not give in to helplessness." The believer is not asked to choose between effort and surrender. He is asked to combine them. He takes responsibility for what Allah has placed within his ability, and then he surrenders to what lies beyond it. This is tafweed, entrusting the affair to Allah. You stop trying to control what was never yours to control. This is one of the deepest forms of freedom, because much of human anxiety comes from trying to carry the future before it arrives. Tawakkul teaches you that you're responsible for your effort today. You're not responsible for possessing tomorrow. This is where tawakkul is tested. It's easy to say I trust Allah when everything is going according to plan. But what happens when the plan fails? When the door closes? When the person you relied upon cannot help? This is when the heart reveals what it was actually depending upon. Sometimes we think we are afraid of losing a particular thing, but what we're really afraid of is losing the security we attached to it. The job was not merely a job, it presented security. The person was not merely a person, they represented safety. And when the means disappear, the heart can feel as though its entire future has disappeared with him. Tawakkul teaches something different. The means can disappear without Allah disappearing. You can lose the opportunity without losing your Lord. You can lose the plan without losing the one who knows the destination. This doesn't mean that you will not grieve. You may grieve, you may feel disappointed. Tawakkul doesn't make you emotionless. It prevents your emotions from becoming your theology. You can fear without surrendering your heart to fear. You can fail without believing that your life has failed, because your reliance was never ultimately on the means. Here we reach one of the greatest fruits of tawakkul, contentment with Allah's decree. Tawakkul and contentment surround the decree from two sides. Before you know what will happen, you rely upon Allah. After it happens, you accept what Allah has decreed. This doesn't mean that you love every painful experience. You may dislike hardship. You may wish that things worked out the way you wanted. But you do not believe that Allah's wisdom is deficient simply because His choice was different from yours. You know that He is Al-Alim, the all-knowing, and you are not. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you cannot know. He knows the beginning, the middle, the end of what you experience only as a moment. So contentment is not saying, I wanted this. It's saying, I trust the one who chose this even when I didn't choose for myself. This is why tawakkul is not a contract with Allah. I trust you, therefore you must give me the result I wanted. No. Tawakkul is, I will do what I can, ask you for what I want, and I entrust the result to you. When these meanings come together, tawakkul becomes complete. It begins with knowledge of Allah, then the knowledge becomes certainty. Then certainty leads you to take the means without worshipping them. The heart becomes rooted with tawheed, so it doesn't depend upon creation. It develops trust and tranquility with Allah's management. It produces good expectation of Allah. Then comes surrender and tafweed. And finally, when the decree unfolds, it produces contentment. These are not disconnected ideas. They are a journey of the heart. You know Allah, you trust Him, you act, you surrender, and then you accept what He decrees. This is why tawakkul is neither laziness nor control. It's neither abandoning the world nor becoming enslaved to it. It's neither saying I can do nothing nor saying I can control everything. It's standing between the two truths. I have a responsibility and I have a Lord. I take the means, but I do not depend upon them. I make the effort, but I do not claim the outcome. I plan, but I do not pretend to know the unseen. I hope, but my hope is not trapped in creation. I fear, but my heart doesn't belong to fear. And when the outcome comes, I meet it with the same Lord I relied upon before it came. Perhaps this is the deepest meaning of tawakkul. You stop carrying what Allah never asked you to carry. Your task is the path, the outcome is His. The task is effort, the effect is His. The task is obedience, the future is His. And when the heart truly understands this, it comes lighter. Not because life becomes predictable, but because the believer no longer demands predictability from life in order to have peace. He knows who holds it, and that is enough. So you take the means, you ask Allah's help, you do what you can, and then you entrust what you cannot control to Him. Your hands work, your mind plans, but your heart relies upon Allah. And perhaps this is what it means to truly say, Allah is sufficient for me. Not because I have nothing left to do, but because I finally understand that whatever I do, Allah is the one upon whom I ultimately depend. Assalamu alaikum.